What is Reaper? Reaper is a multi-track DAW or digital audio workstation. That means that it's a software that you can record, edit, mix, and produce music on. It's where all the magic happens. Lots of industry pros use DAWs to create their music, and Reaper is just one of the many out there. Once you open the software, you're welcomed by the main interface. Usually that has the timeline where all your tracks will display, a transport where the play and record buttons are, and the mixer window, a window that's meant to mimic an actual mixer. If you don't see the mixer window or the transport, don't worry. Just go up to View and click Mixer or Ctrl-M as the shortcut. For transport, click on the same menu and click Transport or Ctrl-Alt-T. The timeline by default is divided into beats on top and time at the bottom. If you want to import a sound sample, just drag and drop it onto the timeline. The timeline usually accepts all audio types and even video as well. This puts your audio into a row called the track. The sound samples are now in these blocks called items, and they show the waveform of the audio. If you want to widen the track, you can press Ctrl and scroll through your mouse wheel. Your mouse wheel without the Control key also lets you zoom into the track. If you press Alt and use the mouse wheel, you can scroll through the timeline. On the transport bar to the right, you have the project settings. This is where you'll input things like tempo or time signature. There's also a knob that will change your playback rate. If you want to change a more advanced project setting like sample rate, you can click the I button right here to open the project settings menu. To the left, you have the transport itself. To play music, just click on the play button on the transport or press your spacebar. This also stops your playback. If you want to play a loop, just click and drag on the ruler to highlight an area and make sure the loop button is on before playing. The transport also has a red button where you can record. Before you can record, however, you've got to set up your inputs. I usually go there by clicking on this text at the upper right, but you can also go to the options menu and click preferences. From here, you can set the audio system to your preferred driver. Mine is set to Wasapi, but if you have professional drivers like an audio interface, then I recommend you use ASIO. From here, you can select your mic and speaker. I'm using my Shure mic, so I'll select that. Once that's done and ready, you can create a new track by pressing Ctrl-T or right-clicking on this empty space and selecting Insert New Track. Now this is important and you must always remember. To record, you must enable a track to record. To do this, you just click on the record arm button here. You'll know your mic is being picked up when the meter on this side is moving. This little speaker on the side is the recording monitor. If you want to hear yourself while recording, you can keep it on, but I prefer to keep it off in case my speakers bleed out sound and it causes feedback. Now all you need to do is click the record button or Ctrl-R to record. For the composers and producers who'd like to add any electronic instruments, the best way to map them out is through MIDI. This is gonna get very technical for a beginner, so bear with me. MIDI, or Music Instrument Digital Interface, is the language between your electronic instrument and your computer. Think of it like instructions for your computer so it plays the virtual instrument. If you have a device like a MIDI keyboard, you can go to the Preferences menu again and find MIDI inputs. Your device should show up here. If you have the MIDI file instead, you can just click and drag it onto the timeline and it'll show up in a new track. Once you have your tracks, you can assign a virtual instrument to the track by using the FX menu and it should play back your instrument. If you want to manually compose something new, right-click on the empty space and click Insert Virtual Instrument to make a new MIDI track. Hold Ctrl and click and drag to create a vacant MIDI item. Press E to pop up a piano roll onto the timeline or double-click the item to open the piano roll on a new window. Now you can click and drag on any note to start composing. Now you have your music and you have your recordings, so how do you edit? If you want to move an item, you can click and drag and it will snap according to the grid of the timeline. If you want to adjust it freely without snapping, you can still hold Shift and it will just glide on the timeline like so. If you'd like to trim off the end of the item, you can click and drag the ends. If it's already the end of the item and you extend it, it'll loop the item instead of trimming it off. If you click and drag from the top corner, it'll add a fade transition. Now what if I want to cut out a middle portion of my item? Simply put the playhead where you'd like to start your cut and press S to split the item. Split the ending of that segment you'd like to cut out and then press delete to delete the cut. Press Ctrl Z if you'd like to undo any action. Now everything's playing at the same time. Sometimes though, you'd like to listen to just 1 or 2 tracks or maybe even mute 1 or 2 tracks. No need to delete anything, just click on M on the track to mute and S on the track to solo. If you'd like to do this to multiple tracks, just press Ctrl and select the tracks and click on M or S. If you'd like the track to play at a lower volume, just click and drag on this knob on the track or go to the mixing window and drag the fader there. To play the track on the right or the left, use this knob and drag it to pan the sound. Now maybe you want to add some special effects to your recordings. To do that, click on the FX button on the track and it will lead you to the effects menu. A list of effects will pop up and you can try them out to your heart's desire. If you have some coding knowledge, you can make your own effects. I just rely on the effects either from Reaper itself or the external plugins. In-depth descriptions of what effects you can do will be in a separate video because literally there's so many options you can do with your mix. Finally, you'd want to save your project and maybe export your new creation as an audio file. To save, go to File and click Save Project As or press Ctrl-Alt-S on your keyboard. This will save your project as an RPP file and you can open it anytime. If you want to export an audio file, find Render under the File menu or press Ctrl-Alt-R on your keyboard. Now you have the option of exporting your file as a full master mix or export the tracks as separate audio files. You can also select if you want to export a specific time range as well. The render window also lets you change your file name, sample rate, and audio format you want your audio file to be. You can also export videos if you put any videos in your mix. Ta-da! Now you've learned how to use Reaper. The info dump is a lot, but don't worry, you can rewatch the video as many times as you'd like. If there's something I didn't cover, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching! This has been rubiirosie, the audio engineer Vtuber, and I'll see you in the next video.